Alright, so it is the next morning. We put in the bushings yesterday afternoon, and yeah, we'll just put in the lower control arm, and we'll do the tie rod today and the stabilizer link. And we got our coffee. Got some laundry going, and yeah, we'll carry on. Alright, so there is the original tie rod, and you can see it's quite perished. If any of you guys watch Wheeler Dealers, love that show. Yeah, so we'll take it off. Alright, so here we are. Tie rod removed. Remove that backing nut. Alright, so I finally got it off. I'm going to clean these threads off and put a piece of tape flush against the back side of the tie rod. That'll be my mark. And I'll also count the turns as I take it off, so belts and suspenders, trying to get as close as I can. Yeah, and then we'll take off the castle nut and take off the tie rod. Sticky. Two. Ooh, I just count these. 3, 4. Alright, so you get the picture. I'm just going to count the turns. So I'm on 4, right? 4. Maybe I'll have to watch the video. Alright, there's the old one. And just so I remember, 13.5 turns. I just fell apart. Alright, put the new one on. 1/2. 1, 2, 3. Alright, so I went back and watched. I did one too many, so I did 14. So there's 13.5. Alright, I'll put this channel. Alright, and it comes to this little grease fitting. Exciting, I know. My head's burning away. Alright, so torque spec on this guy is 33 foot-pounds. Make sure I'm going the right way. There you go. Alright, and then, like before, I'll tighten it to the cotter pin slot. I won't not loosen it. Alright, so here we are under the vehicle. I think I've got just about everything I need set up. Hopefully I can show you guys some of this. Alright, I've got our control arm. First I'm going to put on the rear bushing bracket, then the stabilizer bar bracket. I've got this stabilizer bracket with a new bush ready to slide down into place, and I'll bolt that on. So, yeah, first thing I'm going to do, that light's fucking on the camera. Take off my nut that I've had on there. Alright, so, hold on please. Alright, so, got that washer back on. I'm getting these kind of hand tight. Don't forget that this is the short one. The long one goes towards the front, so facing me. These guys in. I got this guy hand tight. And you know, you're not going to torque these until later when you've got it jacked up. So I'll just go ahead and keep doing this. Alright. Alright, so I got my neighbor's big boy torque wrench. I don't know if you can see that. And I am torquing the rear bushing mount bolts to 66 foot-pounds. And I torqued the little bracket for the sway bar bushing to 16. So can't show this on the camera really, so you just have to believe me. Alright, so the 3 bolts that hold the bushing are torqued, but not the rear end stud. This is hand tight but not torqued. So now I've raised the control arm to the bottom ball joint under the steering knuckle. And I'm going to mount the castle nut, torque it to 36 inch-pounds. Sorry, I work for a robot company and everything on our robots is in inch-pounds, so I always say inch-pounds if I have it. 36 foot-pounds. Then I'll tighten that up, torque it up, 36 foot-pounds, and then crank it till I can get the cotter pin in. Alright, so the lower control arm to steering knuckle ball joint is torqued. Now we will put the shock tower assembly in. Yikes. In so doing, we will try not to get bitten by that nasty spider. So we'll put that in. Alright, so I have the shock assembly in. 2 mounting nuts are hand tight. Let's see if we can get there. Next we can put in that damper fork right there and just you know, make sure you've got it so that the brake bracket is on the same side as your brake line where those go. The first time I did it backwards. Anyway, now we'll try and figure out the damper fork, which is kind of tricky to get on there and all lined up. So we'll see how that goes. Okay, so this guy's in and torqued. That's the damper fork pinch bolt. That is to 32 inch-pounds. Let me double check. Bear with me. Yes. 32 inch-pounds. Foot-pounds. Sorry, it's not a robot. Brake lines are reconnected. The damper fork to control arm is snug, almost snug. It's still got play, and I'm going to torque that to 47 once I get everything to ride height. So I'm going to do 3 things at ride height. I'm going to jack this up. I'm going to do this guy, the front pivot bolt, and the back pivot bolt. The back pivot bolt, it's like 61 foot-pounds, but I can't actually get a torque wrench in there, so I'm just going to have to make it as tight as I can. Next, I'm going to do the stabilizer bar to control arm. Actually, cut this from Honda, and make sure you order these nuts too. For some reason, the previous lock nuts were no good, so they had given out or something. I don't know why. Or maybe somebody had mucked around with it. Alright, we'll do that next. Alright, so it's kind of obvious, but one goes like that. Control arm goes right there. This guy and then you got your lock nut. So, a little sandwich. So we'll install that, and then we'll put this guy there. You need your 5mm Allen wrench in the middle to hold to keep the ball joint from spinning, and torque it to the applicable specs. I'll look that up and mention it later. Alright, and for anybody who's curious, it's kind of tricky to get that in there. So I'll just get my pry bar. Hopefully my head's not in the way. Lift it up and pop it in. Then put it on the bottom, bushing and nut. I'll go do that now. Alright, so here we are at the stabilizer, and the one thing that the Honda manual, you want this, as you tighten this nut on the bottom, it rotates the whole assembly like that. So you want to just hold on with a 14mm wrench and then use your socket underneath to keep it in the middle of the range of motion. Alright, so the stabilizer is in. It says for 16 foot-pounds on the bottom nut. My socket actually ran out, so I just started going and then got it as tight as I could. And then finally just put these to 36. There's one. Alright. Okay, so I got that jacked up. I'd forgotten the problem that I had on the driver's side too is start jacking this up, and now you've got the spring in there, so the spring compresses, and I actually start to lift off the jack stands a little. So that's as high as it's going to get. So I'll go in and tighten that front pivot bolt, torque that. I'll put it in a comment what the torque spec is. I'll do the rear as best I can, that's 61, and I'll do the lower one. Alright. Doing this guy, 47 foot-pounds. There you go. I was right there. So yeah, that's torqued. Put Loctite on it. Now I'll do the other one to 47. Alright, let's see if I can get you guys an action shot. Alright, 47. I'll try and do the back. It's going to be a pain. Alright, so here we are at the rear, and you can't get a torque wrench in there, so I'm just going to have to get it as tight as I can. I mean, you kind of get a feel for it anyway. What 47 was in the last one, so I got to go over that. So I'll just get it as tight as I can, and I'm going to have to put the wrench down. Alright, so I think I'm done. That's the whole passenger side. I'm just gonna go and crawl around, make sure I didn't miss anything. But yeah, then just put the wheel on. I'll double check alignment, the old-fashioned way. Just see if it's in the ballpark. It should be. I mean, it's the exact number of turns on the tie rods. Yeah, and then we'll do the rears next. So they're in about as bad shape as the fronts were. And hopefully all the creaks and clunks are gone. Alright. Alright, one thing you should do, obviously before you start doing this is jack up your car at each corner, go through the big pry bar, look for anything that looks, bushings that are shot, etc. Make a list and write down all your part numbers, and you can order them. So make a little to-do list. you know, just so you don't forget, because I almost forgot to do the tie rod on the side, so I went and looked at my list and made sure that I did it. So, anyway, hope this helps you guys.